can hear me? I'm going to be having a chat with the Sikh Coalition today, so I'm excited for it. Stick around to follow along with our conversation about identity and Big Brother house and more. No sound. Wait. Test it. Can you hear it now? Does it work? It's back. I didn't even change anything. How is the sound back if I didn't change anything? Is the Sikh Coalition in here? Sound is okay now? Okay, perfect. It's good. Is Sikh Coalition is not in here. You want to have them just pop in and request instead of me inviting them? I don't know if me inviting them is working. You can't hear me now. All right. People can hear. It seems like. Absolutely. Yeah, you don't have to be Sikh to listen. It doesn't matter your identity or background. Pop in and listen. We're just going to be chatting about Big Brother, my identity as a Sikh and as being like the first Sikh house guest on the show. And yeah, just chatting more about that. Let's see. You think the invite is what took the sound away? Oh, like waiting for them to join? Maybe. Hi, Gurpreet. Kidda. Sikh is sick. Shout out. We're just gonna wait for them to join. Thank you. Thank y'all for hopping in though for this conversation. Hi y'all. How's everyone doing today while we wait for them to join? Wait, let's test if this is why the sound leaves. If my sound leaves, then it'll be because I'm trying to invite them. So let me know if it leaves. I'm just gonna keep talking, but now we're gonna be little scientists and see if we can figure it out. All right. Can y'all hear me right now? Or no? Oh, maybe we can. Oh, Sikh Coalition joined. Do y'all want to request to hop on? Go live with Sikh Coalition. Let me do that right now. Let's see if this works. Y'all can hear? Sweet. Accept. I'm trying to accept your request, by the way, the Sikh Coalition request. I don't know if it's just lagging or what. I don't know why. It says the Sikh Coalition is unable to join. Is that something on my end? Accept. Thank y'all. Oh, sweet.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. I guess we figured out the technical problems.
Okay, sweet. What's your name, by the way?
Hi, I'm Sim Singh Atariwala, and I'm the Senior Policy and Advocacy Manager at the Sikh Coalition. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to meet you, man. Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you as well. Thanks so much for allowing us to join the Sikh Coalition Live. And we'd love to speak with you. And of course, everyone knows you're the winner of Big Brother Season 25. Jag, you were not only the show's first Sikh contestant, but on November 9th, 2023, you were crowned the first Sikh American winner of any major US reality TV show. And Jag, you are 25 years old, right? And you're an entrepreneur from Omak, Washington?
Yes, sir.
exciting to hear. And I think your mother is also immigrated to the United States in 1993, and your dad also from Punjab in 87. Am I getting all of that right?
You are, yeah.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Well, it's so good to talk to you. I know during the game you were given a second chance following an eviction from the house and ultimately fought and strategized your way to the $750,000 grand prize. Congratulations, Jag, on that amazing victory. How does that feel?
Man, it feels incredible. I feel like I was in the Big Brother house for 100 days. That's the longest season ever, and it feels like everything, like all my hard work in there, paid off in the end. So I don't know. It's a great feeling. I'm very like humbled to have even been on the show as the first Sikh on the show. I think that's a huge responsibility, and that was something that I was very like keenly aware of while I was on the show. And then coming out with the win too is the cherry on top. That's everyone was trying to win, and so that's something that's obviously feels great.
That's amazing. And just for some of your viewers out there, for more than 20 years, our work at the Sikh Coalition has included raising the Sikh profile and voice in mainstream media. And to be candid, Jag, you've achieved a huge leap forward in this work with this victory of yours. And I'm excited to speak with you to talk about how we can better amplify Sikh voices like yours in mainstream media and the importance of doing that. I have a few questions for you, and I know that our audience would also like to have some of their questions answered. So I hope you don't mind us bringing some of their questions in today's conversation.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, feel free to ask whatever questions you want for the conversation.
Awesome. That's great to hear. First and foremost, why did you want to be a part of Big Brother?
Oh man, there's a lot of reasons why. I mean, the first one is I just love the show. Like I'm a fan of the show, and I started watching in high school. Loved the gameplay, the strategy, all the competitions, and I always thought it would be really fun to be on. And so that's just like the fan in me where I wanted to be on. I thought it would just be a great time, and I think beyond that as well, representation is something that's really important to me. I chatted about that a lot while I was on the show. I've chatted about it afterwards as well a lot too, where, there's never been, prior to this season, there's never been someone who's Sikh on the show before in Big Brother. And so that was something that I was aware of, and I wanted to go on just to have that representation. There's been 25 years of Big Brother, and never someone that looks like us, you know what I mean? Or never someone who's Sikh. And so I think being able to be on there and to represent myself and my family and my community was a huge reason as to why I even wanted to go on in the first place.
Wow, it's amazing. I know that representation is critically important, especially to the American public. But on a personal level, how did it feel being a part of such a long-standing, beloved show as the only Sikh this season? Was it pretty lonely? Did you have any other kinds of feelings and emotions running through your mind in those 100 days?
Yeah, I feel like if there's one emotion I can sum it up to, it's gratitude. I was on there, and it was such an incredible time being on there. I think having that responsibility and being the only Sikh on the show, like, yes, it's a huge weight, and I could see the loneliness of it, but for me, I was just grateful because I knew signing up and applying exactly what it was going to be. I never expected for there to be another Sikh on the show with me. You know what I mean? It was always like, can this season be the season where it's a season of firsts, and I'm able to go on? And so I was very excited being on there. And there's one part that I really loved about it is just being able to learn about others, and they learn about me too. It wasn't just like a one-sided, like, hey everybody, I'm Sikh and this is what that means, and I'm Punjabi and this is what we do in our culture and this is who I am. It's we're in the house for 100 days with everyone else. We don't have our phones, and all we have is time. And so we're getting to know other people. So it's cool getting to know other folks as well, and also just sharing aspects of my life and what makes me who I am. And it was really beautiful. Like I really loved it.
That's really inspiring here. I know it's those meaningful connections, that meaningful dialogue is really important. And I think people never forget those types of interactions, as opposed to what you're saying about just, briefly talking about our Sikh identity, our culture, our heritage, our religion. People might forget that, but they'll never forget about how you made them feel and how you've interacted with one another. And throughout your time on the show, you talked about your faith and culture. Were there easy or difficult parts to doing that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not black and white, right? Like, not all of it was great, not all of it was bad. Like, there's definitely layers to it. I think some of my like favorite moments or some parts that are really special to me are when I was able to share aspects of who I am with others in like a really authentic way. You know what I mean? Like, I tie my bug like my turban every day, and I was able to show others how we do buni, right? Like how we prep our turban to tie it beforehand. And so that was cool. Like having someone help me out with that. I show them exactly how I tie it every day. And so, walking through that process was really cool. And that's something that also usually, unless you like grow up in a Sikh household, where someone wears a turban, or if you're like really close to someone, like you don't get to see that typically. And so that was something that was really cool. And everyone else like appreciated that too. And so I thought like those moments were really special. Also when I was on the show, I talked a lot about like my sister who was getting married at the time. While I was in there, she was getting married on the outside. And so just talking through like cultural traditions that we have at weddings, like what is the jago? What do we do then? Like what's the whole like shoe stealing ceremony? How does that work? Like all the really fun things that like they're nuances of our identity and culture, that we can share. And it's like really fun to share that too. And learning, the same of other people and their identities and backgrounds. Like that was really cool, while I was on there. I think on the other side of that too is, I knew going in that it was going to be tough in terms of, people have implicit biases, right? They're going to have their first impressions, whatever that is. And, they may come in without ever having met someone who wears a turban before, or looks the way I do before. And some folks may know someone really well, right? So like it can vary. And so there are definitely instances that I was very, very aware of that. And like I'm not gonna say names of like who said what or whatever, but like there was a case in which like a house guest came to me and said how, there's something about you that makes people not trust you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like having
Yeah.
conversations like that, like to me it's very apparent what it is, right? Like at that time I'm being very loyal to the people I'm loyal to. Like I haven't, you know what I mean? But still, these are the conversations that people are approaching me with, and letting me, be aware of. And so immediately, like I know what it is. Like what about me compared to all the other house guests makes it so someone may not trust me. You know what I mean? Or like looks very different right off the bat when it comes to like first impression, getting to know someone. So those are things that were apparent and were in the back of my mind, and sometimes in the forefront, because not only are these very real relationships, this is also this really complex, intricate game, and we have to navigate it a certain way. So those are things that were happening in the house. You know what I mean? Like and other things as well, like house guests thinking I'm related to other house guests in the past, just because that house guest was brown and was like Muslim. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
not the same culture, not the same faith, not coming from the same part of the world. Like we could not be more different. But people being like, nah, they must be related. You know what I mean? There's some sort of twist
Right.
going on, like something's going on. And so um, those are things that like I think continue to highlight the importance of representation, right? Like that's why it was so cool that I was on the show, because these are things that, we have to deal with every day. It's not because I was on a show that people felt this way. It happens every day, when we interact with people. But I think
being on a platform like that, hearing those conversations, being so aware of it, just continues to prove to me like how important it is and how cool it was to be a Sikh on the show, and how important it is in the show's future that we continue to have diverse candidates and diverse house guests that are there. You know what I mean? Whether they're Sikh, whether they're of a different identity, like we need to have folks there so we can continue to have the great conversations about like, hey, this is how I tie my turban every day, and this is what like these traditions are in weddings, or like these are my favorite foods, and these are masalas I put in the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and like also the harder conversations of growth, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it was a really dope experience. So I loved it.
That's amazing. You really brought your authentic self to the show, and showed everyone what it's like and how our
Lives are very similar to others in the United States, and also how they are very different and distinct, and how we can still embrace our cultural and religious heritage, and live in harmony between both. Being, transplants here in the United States, it can sometimes be overwhelming, but you're absolutely right. These experiences, these challenges that you're speaking about, where people make assumptions or may have no context whatsoever about who Sikhs are, is a common lived experience for a lot of community members here. And so, um, shows and representation where we see more Sikhs really even help the younger generation, where their peers can have a better understanding about who Sikhs are, and really just take out some of the mystery about what's under our stars, even, for example. So definitely something that I really admire that you were able to do. But what does this win mean for you personally, and what do you think it means for the community?
No, I mean, I think that to me has been the most important part of everything. Even outside of winning or losing the game, it was always about like the representation piece, and coming out of the house has been the most rewarding part. I've had Sikh families reach out to me and send like videos, for instance, of their children when they saw me getting onto the show, and just like how excited they were. They're jumping up and down, they're doing bhangra or whatever. They're so excited just to see someone who looks like them on the TV screen, right? The moment I win or the moment I'm saved, like how excited people are. And that to me is beyond words, right? That's the most important part of it. Like seeing these little like Sikh and Punjabi kids and how excited they get, because I can only imagine, like, I know what it would mean to me growing up and seeing someone who looks like us, playing this show that we were like, what? Like I would freak out. And being able to like be that person, and taking that first step in this show and more shows hopefully to come, it's it's amazing. And so I think that part of it has been the best part of this entire experience. And beyond even just like Sikh families and people within our community that have reached out to me, it's been a lot of like love and support and growth outside of our community as well. I've had people reach out that are non-Sikh that have said like, hey, by the way, like, thank you for sharing aspects of your culture and identity on the show. This has helped me like open up conversations with like my Sikh coworkers or my Sikh neighbors or whoever it is. And I was too scared to ask them, questions about, them before. And now we're having these like rich, lively discussions, which is so cool. You know what I mean? Like now they're having these conversations, which is like, that's always been my approach. Like, come to me, ask me whatever. I think like we live in a world of like cancel culture a lot, where like if somebody even asks me the wrong thing, then I might get like really upset and be like, oh, like you should educate yourself first. But I've always come in where I'm like, you know what? If you're coming from a good place and you genuinely have a question, just ask it, right? And we can navigate it together and we can grow and learn. And hopefully I'll learn something about you and you'll learn something about me. And we'll both leave as like better people. And on the very extreme of this scale, which was also amazing to hear, I've had people reach out and say, like, hey, I used to be scared of people in turbans. Like I used to either have like hate for them. I didn't know what it meant. I was scared. I just like lived in this state of fear. And after watching you on the show and learning more about you, I understand now more what it means. And now I get excited when I see someone who's wearing a turban. You know what I mean? Like someone reached
Yeah.
out to me saying like, oh, the other day I saw someone who was wearing a turban at the grocery store and I got excited. They didn't even have an actual interact. They didn't like go in the bombard them and say like, hi, what's up? They just like saw them from afar and got excited. How
Yeah.
cool is that?
It's
Right?
so
Like that is
awesome.
so amazing. So I think like that part of this experience is so much bigger than like Big Brother. Like, yes, I was on this game show, and yes, it's always been my dream to be on, and it was amazing and everything I could have hoped for. And the conversations and the impact that me just like being Sikh wearing a turban has had on others is incredible. Like that is so much more important.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And funny story, I've even like been approached by people that I know who asked me about your appearance on Big Brother, and it was an opening conversation point to talk about who Sikhs are, and really just let them ask all sorts of more questions about our faith, our people, our culture, our ways of life. And that was just really amazing. I want to throw a fun audience question your way. Would you want to do the Amazing Race or the challenge if they wanted to cast you?
Yes and yes to both. I think, look, I'm a very competitive person. I love games. I had the time of my life on Big Brother. And like even like times where it was stressful, I was still just grateful. You know what I mean? Like it would be stressful because I'm like, oh man, I think everyone wants me out of the house, or like I might not be safe this week, and still I would then reframe my mindset to be like, all right, but how lucky are we to be stressed about like this game that we're gonna play tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like, oh,
Yeah,
there's this like veto competition, we better win. Where like other people have so many bigger stressors in life, and we get to be stressed about this. Like, we're so blessed to be here, and so I loved it on Big Brother, and I would love to be on the Amazing Race, on the challenge, like you name it. Like, I'm very open to new experiences. Loved my time
on the show and would love to do that, just like personally. And then the second aspect of that is representation matters and continues to matter, right? Like just because I was on one show doesn't mean like, all right, job is done. Thanks for having me. And there's the one Sikh that we had on a show. And cool, like we did that, check that box, right? Like there's no box to check. Like this is a continued conversation, and continued growth and a continued goal that everyone has to work towards. So whether it's me that makes it onto Amazing Race or the challenge and continues to like share my story and a story that a lot of other folks can relate to, or whether it's somebody else that makes it on, like if someone else who's Sikh makes it on, that's incredible, right? Like I think there's so much more conversation to be had, and I was only like one snippet, and that's something that I made very clear to when I was chatting with folks. They would ask like broad questions about Sikhi, right? And I'd be like, well, I can tell you about my experience with it, right? Like I'm one drop in the bucket, right? Like I'm just one person who's Sikh, and people are like, oh, like that's dope, like oh, you're funny, or you're this or that, like they're like, oh, that's so cool, like we were able to relate to you, and just like I'm just a person, right? Like you're a completely different person than me, and we share identities, and like you might be passionate about one thing, I might be passionate about another, and like your voice matters equally as much as mine does, equally as much as everyone else's does. And so yes, I would be down for other shows.
I'm sure a lot of your fans are excited to hear that. Yeah, I think this concept about different perspectives is really important. So, what are the ways that you feel we can best elevate Sikh voices in mainstream media and pop culture outside of, unfortunately, these tragic narratives such as hate crimes and discrimination that are stalking our community?
Yeah, no, I think that's the golden question, right? Because I think it's happened far too much where like new like the big news or coverage that we get about our community ends up being like really tragic news, right? It is instances of hate crime or something else negative that's happening, and that's heartbreaking to see. And also there's like really incredible work that folks are doing, including the Sikh Coalition and like all these organizations, to continue to elevate Sikh voices, right? So I think there is this collective effort, and by that I mean like from us as Sikhs and from others as well, right? It's not just like us saying like, you know what, we want to be a part of the conversation, like yes, and others need to be open-minded too. Like it's everyone has to put themselves out there to do that, and in whatever way that you want and that you're capable of, right? Like I wanted to be on this show, right? Like I never thought like, oh man, like I'm gonna get casted on, but I was like, dude, it would be so cool to get on, and I think that'd be like dope for the community. I would love doing it anyway, and like might as well, it's a new life experience. And so I applied, and I think sometimes applying or like just trying is the first barrier. That like it's tough, because if I just look at the show's history, it would be very easy for me to be like, well, they're never gonna cast someone that looks like me. Like why would I apply? But I think getting over that mental barrier first is important, and continuing to just like whatever you're passionate about, whatever it is that you want to use your voice for, do that and do good in the world and spread positivity, and people will get to know you as a human, and that's what's most important, right? Like they get to know you as a person, as a human being, and they're like, damn, like you look different too, and that's cool, like tell me about that. And these conversations naturally happen as well. And so so that's a long way to say I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't have the answer to like how do we exactly like elevate Sikh voices in mainstream media in these positive ways, but I think it's something that everyone just has to put that collective effort towards, and it'll happen. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
fully believe that. Like I think all of our journeys are testament to that. So that's something like I've said a lot too. When I've reflected on this experience, like I'm so grateful for it, and the journey continues. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
This was a very, very important step, and it continues.
It's a really inspiring message, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people really well. You know, one of the last questions I had for you, unless you want to ask some more, what's next for you?
Yeah. I think there's the cool part after Big Brother is that there's a lot of opportunities here, and the most important thing for me, like I've mentioned a million times by now, is representation, elevating Sikh voices, and sharing our identity with others. You know, it's a big part of me being on the show, and it continues to be true now. Where I left Big Brother, and I have more of a platform on social media as well. Like what ways can I continue to elevate Sikh voices and continue to represent what I believe in, continue to use my platform to spread positivity, spread kindness, spread, giving back to others, this concept of seva that I believe in so much. You know what I mean? It's like important to our community, and it's essentially just giving back to others. Like how can I continue to do that? And I think that is something that's very important. And all of that with like my identity as well, being Sikh and Punjabi and American and a son and you know what I mean, like putting that all
Yeah.
together, to be like, what do I want to do in the future with all of this? And so whether it's other shows, like I think that's that would be incredible, right? That's something that is like definitely an avenue, but other things as well that I think have been fun to explore, right? Like I've always been into music. I'm Punjabi and I'm American, so it's like going into that a little deeper, where it'd be dope to have that go into like mainstream media more, to continue that conversation about representation. I do real estate. My brother does real estate as well, so it's just like all these things that like we did before the show, or I did before the show, like continue to do the things that like make me happy and that like I would want to do, and spending time with loved ones and like doing all the fun things in life while pushing forward the conversation about who I am and being a Sikh and stuff, because I think as I think about where I am right now and the fact that I was even on the show, it's baffling to me. Like at times, like I'm in shock because younger me would have never even thought of something like this. You know what I mean? And so that's something that like I emphasize to everyone who asks me about like whether it's going onto the show or anything that they're trying to do. It's like, dude, you have to believe in yourself and you have to just put yourself out there. And it's scary sometimes, right? Like even if it's just applying or whatever it is, it's scary, but just do it scared. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, like it's okay to be scared and still do something. Because I was scared when I applied. I didn't know if I was going to get in, and I still did it. And so, like that message is as much for the younger me as it is for like everyone else, which is like just do whatever you're passionate about. Put everything into it, and at the end of the day, just like spread positivity. Like be a good human. That's what's most important.
I love that positive message. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Really appreciate it. I found it really inspiring and insightful. And you are just as authentic here as you were on Big Brother. And that's an amazing model for you to just continue to elevate for our community. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate like even having this conversation. Like these are very, very important conversations. And what I've found is like these are also the conversations where we grow the most and sometimes are uncomfortable. Like not for us, like we had the conversation fine, but like it's uncomfortable for people to just like spark it up and have it. And so the fact that we're able to have this conversation, the fact that folks can join in and listen, like, and hopefully learn a little bit about our conversation, about our identity, about our experiences, like that's so important. So thank you so much for having me on here, and like hopefully we can continue to push the ball forward and continue to have conversations like these and continue to do work and elevate Sikh voices, because I think that's that's top priority.
Yeah. Thanks again. Let's stay in touch. I'm going to log on now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I
Thanks.
appreciate you.
Bye.
What's up, y'all? Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate y'all. He was a part of the Sikh Coalition, and so they invited me to have a chat, and I was absolutely down. I think having conversations like that are just so important. I had a lot of chats like that in the house with house guests, and it's just something that continues to be true now. So thank y'all so much for joining. Y'all are amazing, and as always, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Like I'm very, very open to just having open discussion about stuff. So I love y'all so much. Take care and continue to enjoy your day.